Some other things when she was talking about being good neighbors. We mentioned that, I shared a barking dog example from my personal home, but also that minute noise detector that we put in properties. And if we have a neighbor who might be concerned about noise, we let them know that proactively. That minute noise detector can sense when sound reaches a certain decibel level and it automatically texts the guest, which is a great feature. It also detects smoke. I believe it can also detect marijuana, which is a really interesting thing as well. Some of the other things that we always make sure that we are one, alerting our neighbors as well as our guests is we have ring cameras on the exterior of our property. So I spent a good chunk of this morning recording with Mia Frankel, and wow, that episode goes all over the place because she has such a wide range of knowledge and experience as essentially a code enforcement officer up in British Columbia, Canada, where she works with different homeowners and people who are short term rental owners and neighbors who may not like it and everything in between. But she's also essentially a business life coach for women who are just getting started in their entrepreneurial journey. And she brings such a warm and caring and nurturing vibe is not the right word, but just atmosphere. And I could tell that from the moment that I spoke with her. And I really appreciated that about her because when you're just getting started as an entrepreneur, it can be really scary. And she used the example of babypreneurs are like sheep with wolves out there to get them. And I could not agree more, especially once the algorithm starts figuring out that you're starting a new business. And then there are people who just may not have your best interest at heart because they're trying to quote unquote help you, but they just want to give you some generalized information and then call it a day. They're not really caring about the entrepreneur as a whole. And I could really tell from her that she truly wants to help and empower people create the life that they want to live. And as you guys know, that's what we're all about over here. But what I really enjoyed about the episode as well was her perspective as that code enforcement officer of creating holistic um, environments and neighborhoods that respect the homeowner, your neighbors, as well as the guests who are going to be staying at the property. And I wanted to take a little bit deeper of a dive into some of the things that we do in our coaching and our mentorship program to ensure that our clients are, especially in the acquisition process, making sure that they are covered from that perspective. I mentioned in Mia's episode that we always encourage our clients when they are investigating a new market to one, look online, but two, take it a step further and call the planning and zoning departments in those areas to make sure that all of that information is up to date because we've seen people check things online but not take that extra step to call planning and zoning and then find out that they just hadn't updated their website yet. So this, I'm going to share a few of the questions that we tell our clients to ask planning and zoning. So, first thing that you want to do is make sure if you're looking up online, you are researching the local.gov website to make sure that it is reliable, not just a compiled piece of information on an internet because people can scrape data and just pull things from a non-authorized source. So make sure you're looking at the .gov, but once you find the number of planning and zoning and give them a call, these are the questions that we recommend asking. Are there any specific permits or licenses required for individuals or businesses looking to operate short-term rentals? Are STRs limited by location based on zoning? If so, what are the acceptable zones an STR can exist? Are there limitations on the number of nights a property can be rented out on a short-term rental basis with a specific period of time or within a specific period of time? Are there any tax implications or fees associated with operating a short-term rental? Where can I find comprehensive information or guidelines regarding short-term rental policies and procedures? On our little document here, it says typically these codes are explicit. If any of the questions above do not have direct answers on the .gov or municipal code, they are likely not pertinent to whatever city of interest it is. So, the city's code does not mention zoning and their STR regulations. Zoning is likely not a consideration when determining if an address can be an STR. So, what that means, guys, we typically, after we speak to them on the phone, we'll ask them to confirm it by email so we have something in writing. So, that is a pro tip, guys. Make sure that you, one, have the person's name that you're talking to, but also get that information in writing. And I just want to encourage you a little bit. Like, permitting and that regulatory process is not necessarily something that is scary, or if we see that they have permitting, that it's necessarily a negative thing. It means that that specific town or city or county has addressed the short term rental um, situation in their area and they've come up with some guidelines for it. It's honestly a little bit more scary to me if they don't have anything to do it because anything outlined in their code, because it's kind of the Wild West and they can change that at any time. But it's a little bit more reassuring to me when they have it laid out, because typically if you're operating under their guidelines, then you're going to be able to be grandfathered in or that type of situation. So I wanted to make sure that we were giving you guys some resources and the questions that we ask that planning and zoning department. Of course, within our mentorship, we help our clients navigate the ins and outs of all of this. And once they get some answers back, we're giving the green light, the thumbs up of like, hey, yes, we've seen this, or this type of answer to this gives us big red flags. It's the big benefit of having us in your corner is our team in your business helping you navigate all of those uncertainties that apply to your specific situation in whatever town that you're talking to. But some other things when she was talking about being good neighbors, we mentioned that, I shared a barking dog example from my personal home, but also that minute noise detector that we put in properties. And if we have a neighbor who might be concerned about noise, we let them know that proactively. That minute noise detector can sense when sound reaches a certain decibel level and it automatically texts the guest, which is a great feature. It also detects smoke. I believe it can also detect marijuana, which is a really interesting thing as well. Some of the other things that we always make sure that we are, one, alerting our neighbors as well as our guests is we have ring cameras on the exterior of our property. Hot tip, you have to put in your Airbnb and Vrbo listings that you have exterior cameras, let them know the location of it and make sure that you are letting people know that it records audio and video. The one time that I had somebody throw an absolute rager at one of my properties, it was a mom who booked it for her college age kids. So everything that we saw originally on the booking checked all of our boxes. Mom was verified, well reviewed. Um, you know, age limit, didn't disclose that she had any additional guests. And what shows up to this house are 30 something college age kids who are causing an absolute ruckus. And the neighbors are calling me. I'm having to call the police to come out there. Of course, I am flying solo. John was out of town that weekend. And so getting the police out there, they trashed the house. It was like classic horror story for Airbnb reservation, which, guys, in all of my years of hosting, I can count on less than one hand how many times that's happened. It's so rare, but it was a perfect storm of events. And so We had the Ring camera footage and we had it listed in our Airbnb listing saying we have a Ring camera that is on the front door of the house and it only records the exterior. It's at the front door. Like we listed the location of it, that it was a Ring camera, and the spaces that it did not record the interior of the house, etc. So when we were going through the air cover dispute process, um, we submitted those videos saying, hey, it's more than the number of people in the reservation, yada, yada, yada. Airbnb, because we did not have listed that it recorded audio in addition to video, flagged my listing, took my listing down for the potential invasion of privacy because I did not have that the Ring camera recorded audio in addition to video. So I want you guys to make absolute sure that any devices, if they record audio, it is clearly stated in your listing that the location of the camera, as well that it records audio and video, because even though I had it listed Ring camera at the front door, they still suspended my listing for a week because I didn't have that it recorded audio, because I was submitting evidence against a person who threw a rager and did about $7,000 for my property. So, cautionary tale to you guys, make sure you list that it records audio. At the end of the day, they were able to see that we did not violate any rules. They put my listing back up, but just one, it records audio and video, the location of it, make sure you don't have it in any interior spaces. Some other things with that. That is why we are huge on not having all of your eggs in one basket, not just hosting on Airbnb, not just hosting on Vrbo. I am huge on having a property management software that allows me to book on multiple different platforms, and more importantly, allows me to direct book. We do about 60% of our bookings on direct bookings, and we have an entire marketing strategy to own our own book of business. But it's cases like that when Airbnb literally turns off the faucet and says, your property is not going to be listed on Airbnb. I was so thankful that my next reservations were Vrbo reservations and direct bookings. And that allowed us time to get everything situated with Airbnb and then be able to not lose out on revenue for that. So just some golden nuggets of truth there from somebody who had a very unpleasant experience with that. The other thing that people may be asking if they've been following around with direct booking, as well as that rager party situation, thankfully, we also carry reservation specific insurance on all of our reservations that is baked into the fees. We call it a trust and safety fee. And the company that I personally use is called Safely for my reservation specific. Some other ones are Wavo as well as Truvi. And Truvi used to be Superhog. I have an entire property coverage and protection guide that outlines all the differences between dwelling and reservation specific policies. If you want that, we're going to drop the link down in the show notes because it can get a little bit tedious. But we went through that reservation specific insurance policy on all of the property and the contents damage, but we also went through air cover on it as well, because when somebody blatantly breaks house rules like that, I want to make sure that they are held accountable for it. So if something's an accident, we typically just claim it on Safely because they cover up to $5,000 of content with a $0 deductible. And the guest has already paid for that policy, so we're not going back on them. We just replace it through that insurance policy. But if the guest blatantly breaks our house rules, then I'm absolutely holding them accountable because air cover goes back and asks the guest to pay for it if there was damage or negligence there. So just some helpful tips that I hope you guys can really just evaluate your own situation, determine if you are, one, being a good neighbor, how you can improve that guest experience, but also make sure that you are covered in those types of situations and a few questions to ask if you're looking to get into a new market.